Okay, it's been a heck of a day today. Mavi wants to say hello. I woke up early and I got out. I was gonna go retrieve some wood, those big rounds that you're gonna see here in a minute, and I fired up my saw and plunged it into this wood. It was already half cut. It was a tree service. It was tree service wood. I know I'm kind of pausing, but it was already half cut. So I was like, well, I'm going to finish cutting this, bucking this up, and throw it in the truck. Well, I stuck my saw in there and immediately knew something was wrong. I heard a nasty, horrible noise, metal on metal. Well, the reason that they stopped cutting it is because there was nails in it. So right off the bat, I stuck my saw into a tree that had nails in it, and I just sharpened that chain like, I don't know, it was a few days ago or whatever. So I got to spend another 10 or 15 minutes going back over my chain. And anyway, so I put that round back and moved on, and I'm still trying to figure out how I could cut that round. I could probably come in from an angle or something and slice through it. Maybe I might bring another saw with that. I'll take that chain that I ground the rakers off, the safety chain. And by the way, I put a note on that safety chain video that's humor, because it really was. I was just fired up and I was sick of that safety chain on it. But you can do that. You can grind off the first set of rakers on that safety chain. I wouldn't recommend taking both of them down. But anyways, I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to like put out like solid information on how to take rakers down with an angle grinder. But you can certainly grind off the first set of rakers and use a raker gauge on the rakers that are left, on the good ones. But anyways, that chain that I use in that video, I could put that back on one of my saws since it's all torn up anyways, and go back in there and try to cut around those nails, because I've split that wood today, and now that I'm looking back at it, wherever there's nails, there tends to be little clusters of them. I don't know if somebody hung up like little signs where there's 4 nails in the corner or what, but I split all of those rounds that you're going to see here in a minute, and there was 2 or 3 or 4 areas with little clusters of nails in it. So I was also kind of worried about my splitter. It went through 2 of them, I know. It snapped one nail and went right through it. And that splitter that I have, the Power Connects log splitter, it comes with a really sharp wedge on it. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. If you took your hand and pushed hard and raked it up that wedge, you'd slice yourself open. And I don't really want to ruin that, but this tree service wood is so random. I mean, I cut an Osage orange tree the other day. It had a barbed wire fence attached to it still with vines on it. So the wedge is okay, I guess. It's got some tiny little nicks in it, but that's just going to happen, I guess. You know, over time, you're splitting tree service wood. I'm splitting tree service wood. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm splitting tree service wood with it, and you get into a flow and just start working and throwing logs on it, and it's hard to look every single time and crack it open and look in and make sure there's no metal in there. I mean, you just start working, and then all of a sudden one of them you open up and there's nails in it. So it's pretty tough to always stay focused. If you're splitting a tree or working with a tree that you do find metal in, though, I guess it's good to take caution with the rest of that certain tree for sure, because that was a yard tree or could have been on a street corner or something else. So I try to do that. But yeah, so I'm way off base now on this story. But so yeah, I plunged my saw into that, tore my chain up, so I'm gonna have to sharpen the chain. Then I moved on to the next group of logs and went to start my saw, and it started, but on the time that it started, the pull rope broke and came flying out. So I was standing there holding my pull rope in one hand and the saw in the other hand with it running. So I finished doing a couple cuts that I needed to do, and then just put the saw away. And I came home and I fixed my pool rope, which was really cool. It took a little bit. It took me an hour or so to do because I had to learn how to do it. And then, as you'll see in a minute, I think I'm going to air this other clip, but the spring didn't engage. When I put the spool back down, there's like a spring, which it's not really a spring. It's just a metal coil that's coiled up in there, and it acts like a spring. And I'll show a still photograph of that, and you can see it in the video, the little video that I have. But I didn't engage with that spring properly once, and I was twisting it around trying to get it to engage, and the spring came undone and went all over the place, went haywire. So I had to repack that spring, which I found out with doing no research and just doing it on my own, you can do it. You just have to coil it up into a little tiny coil, real small, and put it back in the saw. But I got it all fixed up. I reused the same pull rope and got it all done, and I got a bunch of splitting done today. So I'll show you some of that footage coming up here in the video. I hope you like it. Maybe you learned something. I don't really know what I'm going to title this video because I didn't do like a total breakdown instruction on how to do the repair or anything on the pull rope. There's other people that have those on there, and I didn't show myself doing the spring. I've mentioned it before, but I'm so busy right now, I don't have time to film everything I do. And I don't really like being negative because I love Stihl, and I love the Stihl brand and everything, so I don't like showing broken things sometimes, but you know, stuff happens with, you know, little things happen here and there. So anyways, I don't think that's a big deal. But I didn't get footage of myself when I was at the tree service yard when my saw broke. I was in a hurry. It was early in the morning. I just didn't have time to set up tripods and move it all around. That's a place where I'm moving around. It's a big yard, and I'm going and getting logs and carrying them to the truck, and I'm moving all over. So it's like setting up a camera in one place. You might not even catch all the action, and I'm trying to get done and get out of there and get back home. So I just don't record everything all the time. So I missed that footage, but there is a little bit of a funny footage when I was repairing my saw that you'll see. When I tried to repair it the first time, it came apart again. I also was not recording when that spring came undone, but that was probably some funny footage too, because I mean, I had no idea. I was playing with the spool, and it was under pressure, obviously, and it wasn't right, so I pulled the spool off, and the spring just exploded out of the chainsaw case all over the place. But again, I wasn't recording all of that. I just wanted to get it done, and maybe I should have, but not a big deal. Anyway, so we'll get on and air some of these other pieces of footage so you can see what I'm talking about, and have a great day. Okay, so my pull rope broke out of my MS-180, and that's how much of it broke. I mean, that's literally like an inch. This is a tiny screwdriver, so that's not good for scale. But I mean, that's my fingertip. I mean, it's like an inch of the rope broke off right at the spool. So I'm gonna try to retie it and see if it'll still work, and then maybe order a rope and replace it later. But if it works fine, I might just use it with an inch shorter rope. So let's see what happens. I'll let you know. I'm not gonna show everything, but I just took it apart, pulled the cover off here, removed this spool, and I'm gonna try to retie it and rewind this rope and see if it'll start. Okay. All that happened right there was the knot that I tied and the handle was too small, and it just pulled right through the handle when I put it under pressure. Okay, guys, I got the chainsaw running again. It was a little bit scary for a minute. I don't record everything I do. I don't know. I should have been recording it, but there's a spring inside that MS-180, and they call it a spring, but what it is it's a long, thin piece of wire that's coiled up around the little axle or whatever peg that the spool spins around on. So it has this, it's coiled up and they're real tight, and it's just held in by pressure because it's coiled up and it wants to like expand. So you coil it up real tight and you got to like pull it out and then coil it up. Well, anyways, that thing came undone on me. I didn't get the spool seated in there correctly. And I was messing with it, trying to get it to seat correctly, and I was spinning it around and around, trying to get it to click and go in, and I wasn't getting the resistance that I needed to get the spool to snap. Like when you spin it, it should snap back and have resistance. Well, it wasn't doing that. So I kept spinning it around and spinning it around, trying to get it. Well, eventually I was like, oh, I'm not seated right. So I lifted up on the spool, and when I did that, that spring underneath that thing just went kablurky. I mean, it just went, it just exploded out of the chainsaw case all over the place. So I had to repack the spring, which I found out that you can do pretty easily. It just takes a little patience. You got to just wrap it around and around and around. And then like, you got to like get it to where you can hold it in your hand and then pull a piece out so it tightens the spring down and makes it real small, and then wrap it around and pull and then wrap it. I know that's kind of hard. I can't think of, it's similar to other things that you could compare it to. I can't think of what it would be right now. I've seen that same type of setup on other things. If I think about it, I'll let you know. But you wrap the wire and then it's like big. So then if you take the tag end and pull it, the spring squeezes down and gets smaller, and then you have a big tag end, and then you have to wrap the tag end around. Anyways, you got to get this thing about that big around, and then slide it down in the chainsaw case, and there's a little hook on it that hooks. So anyways, I got all that done. I got my pull cord fixed. I used the old pull cord on it. Like I said, it only broke about 1 inch off. So you'll probably see the first start that I tried to make. I tried to gain the extra inch back by just tying one overhand knot at the end of my handle. And that's what happened. I went out to start it the first time, and that one little knot at the end pulled through the handle, and it came unwound, so I had to go do it again. And then I just wrapped it around double and I did an overhand knot with two. I went around twice and did a single knot and got it as close to the end as I could of the rope. And we're good to go, man. I just reused my old pool rope on it, so it works. I'm gonna use it as long as I can. Just reuse the old one, didn't buy a new one or anything. So anyways, I hope that explanation made sense. If it didn't, oh well. Tried to be as clear as I could. So I got a lot of splitting to do. I'm gonna go outside and do some splitting. Probably not gonna record it all. This is all the splitting I have to do. I gotta get going on all these rounds here. I'm not gonna record it all today. Y'all have seen the splitter run. That's what I gotta do next. I gotta work on all these large rounds. Get the firewood processed. So that's happening next. I'm eating lunch real quick now, and I just wanted to make a little note about these Stihls with the easy start pull. It really is an easy thing. Can you see my cat up there? I tried to get her in the picture. She's up there. I don't know if you can see her or not. But anyways, it's hard to get the training across to people that are used to just cranking on a lawnmower or something like that to get it to go. Hitting them as hard as you can to get them to start and everything. With this easy start pull, you pull the chain, you pull the rope out, and I can demonstrate it with the saw maybe. I don't know. You pull it all the way out like a foot and nothing happens. You're getting no compression, nothing. And then you hit like a little area and it just kind of pops, and that's when the saw will sputter. It just kind of goes brr, brr. So if you pull that rope all the way out a foot or so, nothing happens until you get to the very end, and then you just have a little bit of tension, a little bit of... So I think that's what I need to do myself to prolong the life of my pull ropes, is use even more finesse. I mean, I don't think you need to pull it hard at all. I mean, if you pull it out, just lightly pull it out, and then when you hit that resistance, just go through the resistance, the saw will start. It's hard to kind of communicate that with people through the instruction manual or whatever, but I think that's what you need to do, is just go as easy as possible. Just ease the pull rope out. Oh my gosh, my cat's climbing on me. Hey. She does that. She's trying to say hello. Just ease it out all the way to the end, and then just lightly let it go through its little ignition cycle. And if you do that, I think I'll prolong the life of my pull cord, because I mean there's tension on that plastic spool inside there where the rope threads through the middle of the spool. So it comes through that little tunnel in the spool and then turns and makes a hard angle. And if you're just yanking on that thing, every time you come to the end of it, it's probably rubbing on that plastic in there and kind of coming to a jerky stop at the end. And that's where it was breaking. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. I can try to aid that and using more finesse when I start the saw, I think. Over and out. Tonight I'm burning this big old burl. That's just how I roll. I'll burn anything.